Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are navigating a new era under ownership that differs drastically from what fans and players experienced in previous decades. When Terry McLaurin joined the team, it was under the leadership of Dan Snyder, whose hands-on, sometimes controversial approach dominated the organization for years. McLaurin's initial contract extension happened while Snyder was still the owner, embedding a certain dynamic in player negotiations that reflected Snyder's personal style. However, the arrival of Josh Harris as the new owner has shifted the culture and strategy entirely. ESPN insider John Keim reports that these changes are having a tangible effect on how McLaurin's current contract discussions are unfolding. Unlike Snyder, Harris does not seek to intervene in day-to-day dealings simply for headlines or public attention. Instead, his style involves reviewing detailed analyses prepared by his front office and asking rigorous, thoughtful questions before approving significant financial decisions. The contrast is striking, signaling a modernized front office approach. McLaurin's contract talks with the Commanders illustrate the impact of this change in ownership style. Under Snyder, negotiations often involved top-down mandates that overrode the perspectives of team executives and coaches, creating friction and a sense of unpredictability within the organization. Snyder's interventionist tendencies sometimes resulted in abrupt decisions or public controversies, making it difficult for players and staff to feel secure in their long-term plans. In contrast, Harris adopts a more structured, methodical approach, relying heavily on his executives to build the case for player acquisitions, extensions, or trades. Keim notes that Harris prefers a system in which the front office evaluates market comparables and constructs detailed reports justifying their proposals. These reports then become the foundation for informed discussions, allowing Harris to ask precise questions about the logic, precedent, and potential outcomes. By not meddling in the process for show or ego, Harris fosters an environment where expertise is respected and each decision is supported by thorough analysis, setting a new tone for the franchise. This methodical approach is particularly significant in the case of Terry McLaurin, whose value to the Commanders remains immense despite his public trade request. Both the player and the team are aligned in their long-term goals. Competing for a Super Bowl requires McLaurin's presence, while McLaurin's career trajectory is best served within a competitive, stable organization. The public nature of his trade request, according to multiple sources, was not a rebellion against ownership, but a strategic move designed to increase negotiating leverage. This tactic adds complexity to the front office discussions, as they must balance McLaurin's market value against the team's salary cap and competitive ambitions. Yet the disciplined approach under Harris provides a framework to navigate these negotiations thoughtfully. By leveraging data-driven analysis and internal benchmarks, the Commanders aim to reconcile differing interests while maintaining organizational cohesion. Harris's leadership style emphasizes asking detailed, sometimes demanding questions about proposed contracts, which can be challenging for agents and front office personnel alike. According to insiders, Harris seeks to understand every angle. Market comparisons, positional scarcity, age considerations, and team salary structure all factor into his inquiries. The goal is not to obstruct deals, but to ensure that every investment aligns with long-term team strategy. This is markedly different from Snyder's era, where personal instincts and public image sometimes dictated financial decisions. Under Harris, front office executives like Martin Mayhew and Jason Wright provide the evidence, rationale, and projected impact of potential deals. Harris then reviews the material, engages in deep discussions, and only approves terms when he is fully satisfied with the logic and strategy behind them. While this process can extend negotiations, it ultimately aims to create balanced, sustainable agreements that benefit both the team and the player. The McLaurin negotiations also reflect the broader evolution of how the Commanders operate in free agency and contract management. Where Snyder might have allowed personal influence or public commentary to pressure outcomes, Harris trusts his staff to carry the workload while remaining accountable to him. This delegation creates an internal structure where analysis, negotiation, and strategic thinking are valued above impulsive decisions. McLaurin's situation serves as a case study. All parties want to remain together, yet achieving that requires careful compromise. The front office must assess the market, the player's worth, and future team needs, while McLaurin's camp evaluates security, earning potential, and championship prospects. Each conversation, question, and report contributes to the final agreement, reinforcing a culture of preparation and prudence rather than reaction and headline chasing. Public attention around McLaurin's contract has also underscored the delicate balance between negotiation transparency and internal strategy. While trade requests or rumors can generate media frenzy, the team's management approach ensures that decisions are not driven by external pressure. Harris's philosophy, as outlined by multiple insiders, is to remain informed but not reactive, maintaining alignment with his staff's recommendations and strategic vision. This allows the Commanders to manage not only the salary cap, but also team morale, fostering a sense of stability that can directly influence on-field performance. For McLaurin, this environment signals that staying in Washington could maximize his career potential, particularly if the front office's analysis supports a contract that reflects both market value and team priorities. The broader implications for Washington are substantial. Under Harris, the franchise is emphasizing methodical, research-driven decision-making, which contrasts with the sometimes erratic past. McLaurin's negotiations are a microcosm of that shift, illustrating how leadership philosophy impacts player relations, team strategy, and public perception. By leveraging structured analysis, market comparables, and internal reports, the front office ensures that all decisions are defensible, sustainable, and aligned with championship ambitions. For the player, this approach may seem slower or more rigorous, but it ultimately provides clarity and fairness. Both sides benefit from a transparent framework that reduces surprises, builds trust, and allows for strategic compromises that serve mutual long-term interests. In practice, the front office's careful preparation includes evaluating past contract trends across the league, assessing positional demand, and projecting future salary cap space. All of this is presented to Harris, who then interrogates the assumptions, methodologies, and potential alternatives. This meticulous process ensures that any contract agreed upon is grounded in comprehensive reasoning, reducing the likelihood of rushed or poorly considered decisions. McLaurin's agents must present data, anticipate counterarguments, and navigate the negotiation while respecting the disciplined structure established by the Commander's leadership. This creates a professional environment where contracts are the result of analysis, not impulse, which may be one of the reasons why Harris's early tenure has already matched certain performance benchmarks in terms of wins and organizational stability. Ultimately, the McLaurin negotiations highlight the importance of collaboration, compromise, and mutual recognition between player and team. Both parties want the same outcome: a competitive team capable of contending for the Super Bowl, and a contract that appropriately values McLaurin's talent and contribution. Harris's involvement, while strategic and questioning, supports these objectives by ensuring that decisions are informed, sustainable, and aligned with team philosophy. By leaning on the front office's expertise and resisting the urge to intervene unnecessarily, he creates conditions for an agreement that respects both organizational priorities and player expectations, providing a model for professional, modernized contract negotiations in the NFL. The stakes are clear. Without McLaurin, the Commanders' offensive capability is diminished, yet without a reasonable contract structure, McLaurin's future security is at risk. Harris's leadership style, rooted in thorough analysis and deliberate questioning, ensures that negotiations proceed with a focus on strategy rather than spectacle. While this process may require more patience, it allows both sides to explore compromises thoughtfully. By providing the necessary data, reviewing potential offers, and maintaining alignment with his staff, Harris maximizes the chance that McLaurin's extension will satisfy both player and team. For the franchise, This disciplined approach could signal a new era in which strategic foresight, analytical rigor, and collaborative negotiation define success rather than impulsive decisions or public pressure tactics. In the end, the McLaurin saga may serve as a blueprint for future contract negotiations across the league. With Harris at the helm, the Commanders are moving toward a model that prioritizes information, internal alignment, and thoughtful questioning over unilateral decision-making or ego-driven interventions. McLaurin's situation embodies the tension between player leverage and team strategy, yet their disciplined approach provides a pathway for resolution that is rational, data-driven, and mutually beneficial. For Washington fans, the hope is that this method results in both player retention and improved team performance. For McLaurin, it represents a chance to secure a fair, well-considered contract while contributing to a franchise that is evolving towards stability, professionalism, and championship contention under its new ownership. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The streets of Washington lit up like a carnival as Chase Young made his triumphant return to the Commanders, and fans couldn't hide their excitement. From the moment his plane touched down, the energy was palpable, with supporters waving banners, chanting his name, and creating a scene reminiscent of a championship parade. Rumors have been swirling for weeks about the team's intentions to reinforce their defensive line, and now, with Young back in the fold, speculation reached a fever pitch. Sources close to the team hinted at behind-the-scenes negotiations that involved intricate contract adjustments, salary cap maneuvers, and strategic planning to ensure that Young's return would have maximum impact on the team's dynamics. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from pure jubilation to analytical breakdowns of what this meant for the upcoming season, fueling even more chatter about the potential dominance of the Commanders' defense. Fans were not shy about expressing their opinions, flooding Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with videos, memes, and heartfelt messages celebrating Young's return. Pundits, bloggers, and sports analysts began dissecting every angle, speculating about how the defensive schemes would shift and how Young's presence could reshape the locker room atmosphere. Whispered rumors suggested that his leadership both on and off the field could elevate young teammates, inspire veterans, and create a level of intensity unseen in recent seasons. Conversations in sports bars and local cafes mirrored the online frenzy, with debates about whether this move would finally position Washington as a true contender in a highly competitive division. The excitement wasn't just about a player. It was about a symbol, a beacon of hope that the Commanders were serious about reclaiming respect, redefining their strategy, and reigniting the fan base's passion in a city starved for consistent success. Inside the stadium, employees and staff hinted at secret training sessions and private meetings with coaching staff aimed at integrating Young into the team's complex defensive schemes. Rumors suggested that head coach Ron Rivera was particularly enthusiastic, personally overseeing drills and planning adjustments to capitalize on Young's unique skill set. The locker room buzzed with anticipation, with whispers of teammates preparing personalized welcomes and perhaps even friendly competitions to test his readiness. Some insiders suggested that Young's influence might extend beyond defense, subtly guiding offensive adjustments by setting examples of work ethic and intensity. Analysts speculated that his return could also have ripple effects in free agency, attracting other high-profile players intrigued by a resurgent team atmosphere. Meanwhile, sports radio shows played clips of excited fans and debated whether this move would be a short-term burst or a long-term cultural shift for Washington. Social media influencers and fan accounts quickly capitalized on the buzz, posting reaction videos, memes, and speculative lineups, imagining how Young would transform. Game plans. The hashtag Dodger Welcome Back Young trended in multiple cities, with fans analyzing highlight reels, predicting sack counts, and even jokingly suggesting that opposing quarterbacks might need therapy sessions just to survive the season. Whispered rumors claimed that Young had personally requested input on defensive rotations, indicating a desire to leave his mark not only as a player, but also as a mentor. Commentators suggested this could redefine the Commanders' identity, transitioning from a team known for inconsistency to one feared for aggression and precision. Meanwhile, merchandise sales reportedly surged, with jerseys flying off the shelves, as fans clamored to celebrate this symbolic homecoming. The combination of social media hysteria, insider leaks, and palpable fan excitement created an atmosphere in Washington reminiscent of the early days of legendary NFL dynasties. Speculation about Young's performance began even before the first practice, with analysts comparing his potential impact to some of the league's all-time great defensive returns. Rumors circulated that his physical condition and off-season training were at peak levels, with whispers that he'd adopted an intense new regimen designed to maximize explosive power and agility. Sports columnists hinted that his presence could shift the balance of power in the NFC East, potentially forcing rivals like the Cowboys, Eagles, and Giants to rethink their offensive strategies. Inside sources suggested the coaching staff was particularly keen on pairing him with emerging defensive stars, creating a tandem that could dominate the line of scrimmage. As more details leaked about team meetings and strategy sessions, the narrative grew that Young's return wasn't just about individual performance, it was a calculated move to elevate the Commanders as a whole. Rumors of a cultural renaissance began floating among fans, igniting hope that Washington's long drought of playoff relevance could finally end. The city itself seemed to catch the fever, with restaurants, bars, and local businesses decorating windows with Commanders colors and posters of Young. Rumors suggested that even civic leaders were getting involved, promoting the player's return as a symbol of Washington's resilience and pride. Sports talk radio amplified the excitement, with hosts speculating about how Young's leadership could influence younger teammates like Brian Robinson Jr. and the defensive rookies hoping to make a name for themselves. Analysts hinted that his mere presence could force rival teams to adjust game plans weeks in advance, acknowledging the psychological edge that a star player can provide. Meanwhile, fan clubs reportedly coordinated welcome parades and meet and greet events, signaling a broader cultural embrace that extended beyond the stadium. The combination of strategic planning, player chemistry, and citywide enthusiasm created a perfect storm of anticipation, making Young's return feel like more than a roster move. It was a narrative, a story Washington wanted to see unfold. Inside the team's training facility, whispers suggested that Young was already influencing practice dynamics, encouraging teammates to push harder, maintain focus, and embrace accountability. Sources hinted at informal huddles where he shared insights from his previous seasons, emphasizing anticipation, timing, and situational awareness. Rumors suggested that even coaching veterans were adjusting play calls to incorporate Young's speed and versatility, maximizing his ability to disrupt opposing offenses. Analysts speculated that the synergy between Young and defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio could produce game-changing innovations, perhaps redefining how the Commanders approached pass-rushing situations. Fans speculated online about the possible highlight reel moments, imagining game-winning sacks, forced fumbles, and relentless pressure on quarterbacks. The blend of internal influence and public expectation created a palpable tension, with everyone from team executives to fans wondering whether this rumored resurgence could finally deliver the winning seasons Washington desperately craved. Merchandise sales, ticket demand, and social media buzz painted a picture of a city fully invested in this player's return. Rumors suggested that season ticket requests were at an all-time high, with families, die-hard fans, and new supporters hoping to witness history firsthand. Bloggers and sports media outlets debated the broader implications, speculating whether Young's return could catalyze a domino effect in free agency, drawing more star talent to Washington. Analysts even whispered about potential changes in the team's marketing strategy, leveraging Young's charisma and social appeal to reinvigorate fan engagement. Community events, youth football programs, and local appearances were rumored to be in the works, signaling an effort to turn Young into not just a player, but a citywide icon. The narrative of hope, excitement, and possibility spread like wildfire, painting a picture of Washington as a city ready to embrace a new era of competitive football dominance. Inside the locker room, sources whispered about a wave of renewed camaraderie and energy, sparked by Young's presence. Veterans reportedly felt revitalized, rookies inspired, and the coaching staff energized by the infusion of talent and leadership. Analysts speculated that Young's approach to preparation, intense, focused, and meticulous, might redefine practice culture, setting a new standard for the team. Rumors suggested that private film sessions, late-night strategy meetings, and personalized coaching were already underway to ensure Young seamlessly integrated with both defensive line rotations and secondary support schemes. Meanwhile, fans online debated whether this move alone could shift the perception of Washington from perennial underdog to legitimate contender. The combination of tangible skill, psychological influence, and rumored behind-the-scenes strategy created an aura of anticipation around every upcoming game, as if the entire city was holding its breath for the season to unfold. The media frenzy surrounding Young's return reached unprecedented levels, with sports networks, podcasts, and online platforms dedicating hours of coverage to every rumored detail. Analysts debated his potential statistical output, projected sack totals, and the likelihood of his presence-altering team dynamics. Rumors suggested that private coaching sessions had been extended, with Young mentoring rookies and collaborating closely with the defensive line to perfect timing, leverage, and gap assignments. Fans speculated on forums about how rival quarterbacks might react, imagining scenarios where offensive coordinators had to completely rethink their strategies. The combination of rumor, anticipation, and tangible performance potential created a narrative that was impossible to ignore. Every conversation, both online and offline, revolved around the possibilities, the drama, and the excitement of witnessing a player of Young's caliber return to a city that was eager for a football renaissance. Whispers in the sports community hinted that Young's homecoming might influence not just the field, but the broader NFL landscape, signaling a shift in how teams approach roster construction, player development, and marketable star power. Rumors suggested that other franchises were closely monitoring Washington's moves, speculating whether the combination of talent and leadership could create a blueprint for rebuilding struggling defenses. Analysts debated the ripple effect, imagining how Young's return might force strategic adjustments league-wide. Fans continued to create content, share memes, and speculate wildly about the impact of each practice, meeting, and training camp anecdote. The narrative grew beyond a simple signing. It became a symbol of ambition, transformation, and the intoxicating possibility that Washington's Commanders were poised to redefine their identity. In every whisper, every social media post, and every analyst discussion, one truth emerged. Clearly, Chase Young's return was more than news. It was the heartbeat of a rumor-driven revolution in Washington football. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.